choosing a major or choosing a school? Which one comes first?
Hi.
Okay.
Well, so do you know that some students nowadays who just graduate from high school and stepping their academic life into universities are having hard problem in deciding whether which major they should choose in order to pursue for their future career, or which school should they go for? In this video, I'm going to discuss three things. First of all, major selection. Second, school selection. And last but not least, a good consideration based on my own experience on whether you should consider choosing a major or a school first. Now, here we go for our first things, alright? So, if you are a person, if you are a student from high school which has a clear goal for your life, it is okay. For example, you want to be a doctor, or maybe you are guided by your parents because your parents are doctor. So it is okay for you. You can just follow your father's footsteps. You can just follow your passions in order to be a doctor, study medical and blah 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 like that. So it's not going to be so difficult for you, yeah? However, if you are a student who have no clear desire because you have not set up any goal for yourself, for your future career and stuff like that, it is going to be difficult for you. So what you have to know about major selection is you need to set a good process to choose it. I believe that no majors in this world is bad for you, but the fact of the matter is whether your abilities, whether your passions or interests fit with the major that you want to choose or not. Just an example, if you want to choose architecture because you think that those subjects or those majors are really well in our market nowadays. But think about your interest, think about your passion. Do you think that you have enough capability, you have enough ability to go for it? If not, I would not recommend you to do so. So the main process that I'm going to discuss in major selection here is you should think and start to set up your goal when you start your high school life. This is because during high school life, you might meet a lot of new people, and during that time as well, you might feel the bucket of our, countries and the world, which major should fit you better than other majors that you can actually find in the universities. So understanding about yourself is the key. Which things or which talent do you have or do you inherit from since you were born and something like that. So it's very important about that. Second of all, just measure your goal, your passions with the majors that you actually set up for. This is the main thing that you have to do in major selection. Okay, so there we go for our second theme. Before I start, could you just read a little bit, maybe here? Yes, here. Yeah. Do you understand it? Take your time. In order, choosing a high prestigious school is essential for your future career, and we cannot go against it. If you are having a good school, if you are in a good school, for example, you study in the United States of America, and after that, you come back to Cambodia and you will have a high chance of having a good job. Is that right? However, if you study in somewhere in Cambodia and it has a lower standard of education, you would have less chance of having a good future career. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean that education system in Cambodia is bad, but the thing is, we do have to admit that our country is developing countries, and most of all, we have a higher standard, medium standard and a lower standard, yeah? So this is very important in choosing a major, but it is also important in choosing a school that has a high and good prestigious so that you can actually have a higher chance when you try to compete with others in the workplace for your future as well. So, by now, I know that you might get complicated whether you should think about choosing a major first or think about choosing a good school first, because as you know, as I mentioned earlier, choosing a good school is important, but it is even important to choose a good major for your future career. So, right now it's time for me sharing my own experience to all of you. Do you know that back then when I first graduated from high school, I attended a workshop which is organized by the Ministry of Education. I met a minister and he mentioned that in order to have a good future career, you need to think whether you should choose a good major or a good school. But he added very heavily that as a student, as a learner, you should never ever go for the university or the school fame instead of the major you want to choose. So basically, just for your ideas, choosing a major is more important than choosing a good school. Even though these two are at the same, level. I mean, you need to have a good major as well as a good school. But you have to consider first thinking, imagine like this, you literally go for an architectural school which is located in the United States of America because you think that United States of America has a higher standard for students in study architecture, and it can be assured that when you come back to your country, you will have a good and higher salary compared to the other workers. But think about this, when you are in high school, you don't feel like you are good at math. When you're in high school, you don't feel like you want to draw or you want to do anything related to construction. You just hate it. But because of the salary, the future, you consider of going to study architecture in the United States of America. There are so many devastating results if you decide to do so. First of all, you waste your money, waste your effort, and waste your time as well. Because at the end of it, you will feel demotivation to go onward. You will feel very down and stressed over your academic years because you have 4 or 5 years. Maybe you want to pursue a master degree, so it's gonna be even harder for you. So it's very important to think about that, everyone. Choose a good major, even though you have a medium standard school fame, but still you can prove that you do understand it. You can actually prove to your boss that you can actually have those abilities to work for them. Even you are in a medium standard school, but you do understand your major, you do understand your role well. You have a good GPA, which can help you even further in your academic progress and whatsoever. This is why, according to the ministers of that workshop that I have attended, it's very important to consider about the major that you are choosing instead of the school that you are going to choose, because it will shape your career, it will shape your motivation of going to of studying in the universities. Remember, I have a quote from Leonardo da Vinci. He said, "Study without desire spoils the memory, and it retains nothing that takes in." See ya.